Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Bond Report. Are you ready?
I am.
Awesome.
Always ready.
Well, today we're heading over to Riverside, California, where it seems like they are rolling out the future of transportation.
That's right.
Driverless vehicles.
Yeah,
It's pretty wild.
it is.
It's kind of funny how Riverside is embracing this new wave of innovation.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, when you think about it,
Yeah,
back in the 1870s,
right.
Riverside was a huge player in the citrus industry.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Washington Navel Orange,
The Washington Navel Orange.
that was pioneered there.
It's true.
So to think that they are now at the forefront of this new transportation revolution,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a cool connection.
It is, yeah. To move all those oranges, they had to develop all this new transportation infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's cool to see them embracing the future of transportation now, too.
And, the company behind these incredible futuristic buses is Ohmio.
Ohmio, yeah.
And they're all the way from New Zealand, of all places.
All the way from New Zealand.
And they actually decided to relocate their headquarters to Riverside.
That's right, they did. And build a factory there.
So they're all in.
They're all in on Riverside.
Wow.
It's really impressive.
So I have to tell you, I actually recently caught Joe Bond's interview
Mm-hmm.
with Zane from Ohmio on her show, The
Oh,
Bond.
yeah. I've seen that show.
Have you ever watched it?
Yeah, yeah. Jo is so great.
She's fantastic.
I love how she connects with people from all walks of life.
Oh, tell me about it.
One minute she's hanging out with a falconer, and then the next she's talking to policy wonks.
It's amazing.
But she always makes it interesting,
I am.
She finds those connections between nature, hobbies, all that stuff.
It's really cool. And she always manages to weave sustainability into those conversations as well.
Absolutely.
But okay, back to Ohmio.
Right.
One thing that I thought was super interesting is that they're building these American-made electric vehicles in Riverside.
Yeah.
And I think that has something to do with those Buy America rules.
Right. That's right. Ohmio really wanted to break into the U.S. market, especially for government contracts. And to do that, they have to follow the Buy America guidelines.
Gotcha.
Which means a certain percentage of the materials and the manufacturing has to happen right here in the U.S.
So that's why they set up shop in Riverside.
Exactly.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did the government actually help them move here?
They did through this program called Select USA.
Select USA, okay.
It's this federal program that helps connect international businesses with opportunities here in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
Helps them navigate the whole process of setting up shop here.
So it's like a win-win for everybody.
It is, yeah.
Ohmio gets to enter this huge market.
Huge market.
Riverside gets new jobs and becomes this hub for green technology.
Mm.
And the U.S. moves closer to its clean energy goals.
It's really a great example of how those goals can all kind of align.
So cool. Okay, so I have to admit something. When I first heard about these driverless buses, I was a little freaked out.
I hear you. It's a big change.
How do we even get people to feel comfortable with this idea? It seems like a huge jump.
I understand. It's a totally new concept for a lot of people, but Ohmio's already dealt with this in other countries.
Oh, interesting.
The key is education and collaboration.
Okay.
They work really closely with the cities, the transportation planners, community groups.
Gotcha.
It's all about addressing those concerns head on and showing people what the potential benefits are.
Well, in the interview, Zane talked a lot about safety.
Yeah.
Are these self-driving vehicles actually safer than us humans behind the wheel?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And the answer is potentially yes.
Okay.
They can be programmed to follow traffic laws perfectly.
Right.
They don't get tired, they don't get distracted, and they don't get road rage like we do.
That's a good point.
Mm.
Plus, they have all of those sensors and cameras that are constantly scanning their surroundings.
Yeah, they're always aware of what's going on around them.
That's amazing.
And here's something to think about. The U.S. has a goal of 0 roadway fatalities by 2045.
Wow.
That's a big goal.
Imagine if we could actually achieve that.
It's a huge undertaking, but, autonomous vehicles could really help us get there.
Speaking of incredible, the technology behind all of this is changing so fast.
I know, right?
New batteries, even more sophisticated sensors. How does a company like Ohmio keep up with all of that?
That's what's so smart about their design. It's flexible. They have a really rigorous process for evaluating and incorporating new technologies as they come along.
Oh, so they're built to adapt.
Exactly.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this, and maybe this is a silly question,
No such thing.
but if we are all riding around on these driverless buses someday,
Mm-hmm.
are we going to need, new rules of etiquette?
Oh, that's interesting.
What's the proper way to signal a stop on a bus that doesn't have a driver,
That's a good question. I mean, it's a whole new way of interacting with public transportation.
Right.
We'll have to figure out how we get on and off the bus, how we signal stops, how loud we can even talk on the bus.
It'll be a learning curve for everybody.
Definitely.
And I think it also highlights the fact this isn't just about the tech.
No,
It's about people, too.
it always comes back to people.
Yeah, we've got to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and included in this whole transition.
Especially those who depend on public transportation the most.
Exactly.
And that's why it's so important to have those collaborations with local unions and community organizations to make sure that everybody's on board with this change.
So true. And, just think about all the communities that don't have the best transportation options right now. That first mile, last mile problem.
Yeah.
Getting from your home to the bus stop or the train station.
Big problem.
These self-driving shuttles could be a total game changer.
Absolutely. It's all about connecting people to opportunities.
And you know what else I found really fascinating in that Bond episode? Zane was talking about how they could be used for more than just getting around town.
Oh, yeah.
Get this. He mentioned they could take people to mini golf courses.
Mini golf outings.
Who needs a designated driver?
That's pretty cool. It really opens up the possibilities.
Right. It really shows how versatile this technology can be.
Yeah, it's not just about solving transportation problems. It's about enhancing our lives in all sorts of ways.
And that's exactly what Zane was getting at when he said, we all need to become true believers. It's about embracing this future, not just watching it happen from the sideline.
I love that. Like, hey, let's hop on board and see where it takes us.
Exactly. Speaking of hopping on board, have you seen those really cool socks from xpfe.fun?
Oh, yeah, those are neat.
I know.
Ones with all the different themes.
They have a whole line themed around historical figures and events.
I saw those.
I was looking at those socks, Berlin Airlift ones.
The Berlin Airlift ones?
Those are so cool. It's like wearing history on your feet.
Yeah, I love those.
We'll make sure to put a link to those in the episode description.
That's a great idea. I've always been fascinated by the Berlin Airlift.
Me too. It's such a testament to, human ingenuity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And resilience and cooperation.
International cooperation.
Those socks are such a fun way to kind of commemorate that moment in history.
They are.
But okay, back to Ohmio.
Right.
They are really trying to revolutionize transportation in Riverside.
Yeah.
What an amazing story.
It really is. And what's really fascinating to me is that this whole move to Riverside was really driven by those Buy America regulations.
Oh, yeah.
They realized to make it in the U.S. market, they couldn't just import everything. They had to build it here.
That takes some guts.
It really does.
Yeah.
To pack up your whole operation.
Yeah.
And move it across the world.
To a whole different country.
That's a huge leap of faith.
It really is. But it looks like it's paying off for them.
It does, yeah.
Something that really struck me in that Bond episode was when Joe and Zane were discussing how these autonomous vehicles could make transportation so much more accessible.
Oh, that's such an important point.
Right.
Sometimes we get so caught up in the technology that we forget about the impact it can have on people's lives.
Exactly. And for people with disabilities or mobility challenges, getting around can be a real struggle.
Oh, absolutely.
These self-driving vehicles could give them a new level of freedom and independence.
A whole new level. Imagine not having to worry about navigating crowded buses or subways or struggling with stairs.
Yeah.
You just hop in your self-driving shuttle and it takes you wherever you need to go.
It's amazing.
And it's not just about physical accessibility either.
Oh, right.
I mean, these vehicles could really help bridge the digital divide, too.
How so?
Think about folks in rural areas or in underserved communities who might not have easy access to transportation or technology.
That's a great point.
These shuttles could connect them to jobs, to healthcare, to education, even social events.
Wow. It could really open up a world of possibilities.
It's about creating a more equitable and inclusive society.
I love that. It all comes back to what Joe's always saying, right? About building community.
Through shared experiences.
And those connections with nature.
It's amazing how those themes intertwine,
It is.
Nature inspires innovation, technology connects people, and stronger communities create a more sustainable future.
It's like a beautiful cycle.
It is.
It's so exciting to see how Ohmio is playing a part in all of this.
Absolutely. It's really inspiring.
Speaking of exciting, did you catch that part in the episode where Zane was talking about using the shuttles for mini golf outings?
Mini golf outings?
Yeah.
I did, yeah. That was hilarious.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be chauffeured around a mini golf course in a driverless shuttle?
I know, right?
It just adds this whole other fun dimension to the whole thing.
It shows you how versatile this technology can be.
Yeah.
It's not just about solving practical problems. It's about making our lives more enjoyable and interesting.
And that's what Zane was talking about, when he said we need to become true believers.
Mm-hmm.
It's about embracing this future, not just watching it happen from the sidelines.
I love that. It's like, let's hop on this ride and see where it takes us.
Exactly. Speaking of hopping on things, have you seen those awesome socks from XPFE? FUN?
Oh, yeah, those are great.
I know.
The ones with all the quirky designs, they're fantastic.
We'll make sure to include a link in the episode description.
That's a great idea. I've always been fascinated by the Berlin Airlift.
Oh, me too.
It's such a testament to human ingenuity and resilience.
Sorry. Okay, but back to Ohmio for a minute.
Sure.
I want to get your thoughts on something.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most compelling aspect of their story?
That's a good question. For me, it's their commitment to collaboration.
Okay.
They're not just building vehicles,
Right.
They're working with cities, universities, local communities.
Yeah.
They're really building a whole ecosystem around this technology.
That's a great point. They're really thinking about the big picture.
Exactly. And how this can benefit everyone.
And they're not afraid to acknowledge the human element in all of this.
Right. Technology alone isn't enough. It's about people.
Yeah.
It's about connections.
Absolutely.
It's about building a better future together.
Yeah, it is so well said.
It's inspiring to see a company like Ohmio really kind of leading the charge towards a more sustainable and inclusive world.
I completely agree. So thinking about all of this, what is your biggest takeaway from our deep dive so far?
For me, it's a reminder that innovation isn't just about cool gadgets and futuristic vehicles.
Yeah.
It's about people. It's about working together, building community, and having the courage to imagine a better future. And that's what really gets me excited, the possibilities.
That is so well said. And it really does connect back to what Joe Bond is all about, connecting with nature, exploring new hobbies, working towards a more sustainable future.
Absolutely. It's all interconnected, right? And it kind of makes you wonder, what other cool innovations are just around the corner? Maybe flying cars.
Wouldn't that be something? But seriously, Zane mentioned that Ohmio is always evaluating new technologies.
Yeah.
What kind of challenges do you think they'll face as this whole field keeps evolving at such a rapid pace?
Well, for one, they have to stay ahead of the curve. This industry is so competitive. Yep. There are new companies and new technologies popping up all the time.
They've got to be adaptable.
Exactly. And they can't lose sight of safety and security.
Right.
As these vehicles get more sophisticated, so do the potential risks.
Like cybersecurity.
Exactly. Cybersecurity is a huge concern.
Yeah.
And of course, there's public perception. People need to feel comfortable and trust this technology before it really becomes mainstream.
Oh, for sure.
Education and transparency are key here, I think.
Yeah.
Ohmio needs to be upfront about how these vehicles work, how they're being tested, what safety measures are in place.
Right. It's about building confidence and excitement, not just throwing new tech at people.
Exactly. It's about how we integrate this technology into our lives, into our communities.
I think that's such an important point. This has been a fantastic conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about Ohmio, self-driving shuttles, the future of transportation. What's your biggest takeaway from all of this?
For me, it's just a reminder that innovation isn't just about cool gadgets and futuristic vehicles. It's about people. It's about working together, building community, and striving to create a better world for everyone.
So well said. And, it all circles back to what Joe Bond is so passionate about, finding those connections between nature, hobbies, and sustainability.
She really has a gift for showing us how those things can come together in unexpected and inspiring ways.
Absolutely. Well, this has been another fantastic deep dive on the Bond Report. For our listeners, we'll include a link to Ohmio's website in the episode description so you can check out their work. And of course, we'll also include a link to xpfe.fun, where you can find those awesome socks, Berlin Airlift, and other cool historical gifts.
A little something to spark your curiosity.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating to me is that this whole move to Riverside was really driven by those Buy America regulations.
Oh, right.
They realized to make it in the U.S. market, they couldn't just import everything.
Yeah.
They had to build it here.
They had to commit, right.
Yeah, they had to fully commit.
Across the world.
A whole different country.
Wow.
That takes guts.
It does.
But it looks like it's really paying off for them.
It seems to be working out.
It does.
Something that really struck me in that Bond episode was when Joe and Zane were discussing how autonomous vehicles could make transportation so much more accessible.
Oh, that's such a crucial point.
Right.
Sometimes we get so caught up in the technology itself
Yeah,
that we forget about the real impact it can have on people's lives.
exactly.
Yeah.
And for people with disabilities or for people with mobility challenges, getting around can be such a struggle.
Absolutely.
Self-driving vehicles could give them
Yeah.
a whole new level of freedom and
Yeah.
independence.
Right. A whole new level. Imagine not having to navigate subways or, struggling with stairs.
Right.
You just hop in your self-driving shuttle
Yeah,
and off you go wherever you need to go.
that's amazing.
It really is. And it's not just about physical accessibility either.
Oh, right.
I mean, these vehicles could really help bridge the digital divide as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Think about folks in rural areas or underserved communities
Mm-hmm.
who might not have easy access to transportation
Yeah,
or technology.
that's a good point.
These shuttles could connect them to jobs, to healthcare, to education, even social events.
Wow. It could really open up a whole world of possibilities for people.
It's about creating a more equitable and inclusive society for everyone.
I love that. And it really all comes back to what Joe is always saying, right? Building community
Through these shared experiences.
and, connecting with nature.
It's amazing how those themes just intertwine.
It's a beautiful thing.
Nature inspires innovation, technology connects people, and stronger communities create a more sustainable future.
It's this beautiful cycle. And it's exciting to see how a company like Ohmio is playing a part in all of this.
It really is. It's inspiring to see.
Speaking of exciting, did you catch that part in the episode where Zane was talking about using the shuttles for
About it.
who needs a designated driver when you have a driverless shuttle?
I know, right? I saw that, yeah.
I just thought it was such a fun,
It was hilarious.
unexpected, but fun.
It really shows how versatile this technology can be. It's not just about solving practical transportation problems. It's about making our lives more enjoyable, more interesting.
I love that. And that's what Zane was talking about when he said we need to become true believers,
Right.
It's about embracing this future, not just watching it happen from the sidelines.
It's like, let's hop on this ride and see where it takes us.
Exactly. Speaking of hopping on things, have you seen those really cool socks from XPFE?
XPFE. Oh, yeah, those are great. They're the ones with all the quirky designs.
And we'll make sure to include a link in the episode description.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by the Berlin Airlift. It's just incredible, the ingenuity, the resilience,
Yeah.
the international cooperation.
It took to pull that off.
Yeah.
And those socks are just a fun way to commemorate that.
I love that.
Okay, but back to Ohmio. I want to get your thoughts on something.
Sure.
What do you think is the most compelling aspect of their story?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's their commitment to collaboration.
Okay.
They're not just building vehicles, they're working with cities,
Right.
universities, local communities. They're really building a whole ecosystem around this technology.
That's a really good point.
And I think that's what makes them so successful. They're not just dropping these self-driving shuttles into a city and saying, good luck.
Right, right.
They're really working with people to ensure a smooth transition.
Considering that human element.
Exactly. Technology alone isn't enough. It's about people.
Absolutely.
It's about connection.
Yeah.
It's about building a better future together. They're really thinking about the big picture, and they're not afraid to acknowledge the human element in all of this.
Right. And it's about those connections, right?
Absolutely.
So it really does come back to what Joe is always talking about, building community
Building community.
and finding those connections to nature.
It's amazing how those themes all just work together,
I know. It's pretty incredible.
Nature inspires these innovations, technology connects us, and stronger communities lead to a more sustainable future.
Yeah, it's kind of a beautiful cycle.
It is.
Thinking about all this, what's your biggest takeaway today?
For me, it's just a reminder that innovation isn't just about cool gadgets and futuristic vehicles.
Right.
It's about people. It's about working together, building community, and having the courage to imagine a better future.
That is so well said. And it really does tie back into everything that Joe Bond is so passionate about.
Absolutely.
Those connections between nature, hobbies, and sustainability.
It's all connected.
And it kind of makes you wonder what other innovations are right around the corner,
I know. Who knows?
Who knows? But seriously, Zane did mention that Ohmio is always evaluating new technologies. What kind of challenges do you think they'll face as this field continues to evolve at such a rapid pace?
Well, they have to stay ahead of the curve, for one. I mean, this is such a competitive industry.
Oh, for sure.
You've got new companies and new technologies popping up all the time.
It seems like every day there's something new.
Exactly. And they can't afford to lose sight of safety and security either.
Right.
I mean, as these vehicles become more sophisticated, so do the potential risks.
Totally, like cybersecurity.
Exactly. Cybersecurity is a huge issue.
It's a big one.
And of course, public perception is always a factor. People need to feel comfortable and trust this technology before it really becomes mainstream.
Yeah, for sure.
So education and transparency are going to be key, I think. Ohmio needs to be upfront about how these vehicles work, how they're tested, what safety measures they have in place.
Right. It's not about just throwing a bunch of new tech at people and expecting them to be okay with it.
Exactly. It's about bringing people along for the ride and showing them how this technology can actually improve their lives.
I think that's a really important point. This has been such an incredible conversation.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much about Ohmio, self-driving vehicles, the future of transportation.
Me too. You know, for me, it just reinforces that innovation isn't just about cool gadgets or futuristic vehicles. It's about people. It's about working together, building community, and really striving to create a better world for everyone.
So well said. And, Joe Bond
She has a real knack for highlighting those connections, doesn't she?
She does. Well, this has been another fantastic The Bond Report. For our listeners, we'll include a link to Ohmio's website in the episode description so you can check out all the great work they're doing. And of course, we'll also include a link to xpfe.fun, where you can find those awesome socks, Berlin, Airlift, and a bunch of other really cool historically themed gifts.
A little something to spark your curiosity.
Exactly. Until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep bonding.
As Joe Bond says, until we bond again.